Hello, I'm David Harper with the BBC News. All criminal charges have been dropped against the Hollywood actor Alec Baldwin for his involvement in the fatal shooting of a cinematographer. Halyna Hutchins was killed by a live bullet fired from a prop gun being used by Mr. Baldwin during the filming of Rust in 2021. US media said prosecutors had recently learned that the gun used in the shooting had been modified, making it possible for it to misfire. Sophie Long reports.
Alec Baldwin, who was holding the gun when it discharged the live round that killed Halyna Hutchins and seriously injured director Joel Souza, had been facing 2 charges of involuntary manslaughter. His lawyers have always said the charges were wrong and represented a gross miscarriage of justice. Today, in a statement, they said, "We are pleased with the decision to dismiss the case against Alec Baldwin, and we encourage a proper investigation into the facts and circumstances of this tragic accident." Prosecutors have yet to comment.
Diplomatic pressure is being stepped up to end the fighting in Sudan, which has left more than 300 people dead in the last week. A Sudanese army statement said the military chief, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, received calls from several national leaders and foreign ministers. The calls come amid efforts by the United Nations to get the army and the paramilitary rapid support forces to agree to an immediate ceasefire. The BBC's Mercy Juma in Nairobi is following events in Khartoum.
We have seen no signs of, these fightings stopping. Thousands of people are still holed up in their houses. Food supplies are running out. People do not have access to water. Some people have been forced to leave their houses and try to make it to the River Nile to just get some water for their families, to get food for their children. And still the generals that are going head-to-head are not heeding to any ceasefire.
The SpaceX founder Elon Musk has insisted the test launch of the most powerful rocket ever built was a success, despite the fact that it exploded minutes after takeoff in Texas. No one was on board. It was meant to spend 90 minutes on a nearly complete orbit around the Earth before splashing down in the Pacific Ocean. Rebecca Morell reports.
This was the moment Starship blasted off. The huge rocket, which stands 400 feet tall, slowly pushed upwards into the blue Texan sky. But about 3 minutes into the flight, things started to go wrong. The lower part of the rocket was supposed to separate from the top. Instead, Starship started tumbling before exploding twice.
3 people have been killed and 4 more are trapped inside a coal mine in central Colombia following an explosion in a tunnel early on Thursday. 4 people have been rescued, but efforts are continuing to locate the other miners. Authorities are investigating what caused the blast. Mining tragedies are frequent in Colombia, particularly at illegal sites. World News from the BBC. Brazil's government says it will back a congressional inquiry into the January the 8th riots by supporters of the former president Jair Bolsonaro. The announcement marks a policy reversal. President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva's administration had so far opposed the investigation to avoid diverting political focus away from his economic measures. The rioters stormed government buildings in the capital, Brasilia. The Defense Ministry in Moscow says a Russian fighter jet accidentally fired its ammunition into the city of Belgorod near the border with Ukraine. The statement said a Sukhoi Su-34 aircraft had accidentally discharged aviation ammunition. The regional governor said the blast left a huge crater about 20 metres wide in the city centre. He said 2 women were injured and several buildings were damaged. Republicans in the United States have voted to bar transgender athletes from joining female sports teams in schools and universities. The bill, voted on along party lines, sparked outrage from Democrats who argue that it fuels hate and marginalisation. The legislation will almost certainly not be passed by the Senate, where the Democrats have a slim majority. The White House also said President Biden would veto signing it into law. But speaking at a news conference after the vote, the House Speaker Kevin McCarthy welcomed the passing of the bill.
Today is a great day for America, for fairness, for families, and most importantly, for female athletes. House Republicans pledged before the last election their commitment to America to protect women and girls in sports. Today we kept that promise.
A former Iraqi official who escaped from prison and went on the run for 2 days has died while being pursued by the security forces in the city of Mosul. The government said Saad Kambash had tried to flee from the authorities, but he fainted and died before reaching hospital. Mr. Kambash was jailed last year for 4 years for using $36 million of public funds. BBC News.